Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Francis. Hope you're doing well today. This tutorial that we're going to do today is how to create a ruler. So you might not have a ruler like one of these at home, and we are going to be doing an activity in which we need to measure so that we can build a very symmetrical and evenly spaced periodic table in a bit here. So to do this, I'm going to put my rulers aside, but I will use them to show you that we are right on in our measurements. You will need your straight edge. If you haven't created one of these, you can go to that tutorial. I will put the link in the comments. And then you just need a piece of 8.5 by 11. So having that 8.5 by 11, that's a standard piece of paper. You can even find some, coming like from some mail. If you are not sure, ask a family member if they know if they can get a hold of a piece of 8.5 by 11. So knowing that we have this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, we can make some simple folds. And with those folds, we can estimate the sizes fairly well in order to make our periodic table later today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the paper landscape, which means it's like on its short end, okay? Or it's sitting on the long end, but the short end is up and down. And from here to here, I have 11 inches. So what I'm going to do is just first fold the piece of paper in half. Now, I think the critical thing is when you're making your own ruler, you've got to make sure that the edges line up. So like if I were to fold it like this, you can see that the corners aren't lined up and you're not going to get an accurate measure. But if I am really careful, then what I like to do is sort of move it until I see both of the corners lined up. And I like to put my hand kind of in the middle and to get a nice edge, go from the middle outward and make a nice crease. So if we take 11 and we cut it in half, you can see that crease line right in the middle there, okay? And what I'll do is I'll take my straight edge and I'm going to actually kind of fold the paper back around it again and just gently push this in here to make sure that I'm right on the edge. And now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to make my first mark. So I'm going to draw a line from here to there. And 11 divided in half is going to give me 5.5. So from here to here is 5.5 inches. And I'll use that little double apostrophe sign, I guess we could say, or so that's 5.5 inches. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just continue to cut this in half. So I'm going to take this side of the paper and I am going to fold it into the crease. Now, I again think it's helpful if I lift the paper just a bit and I push up against that folded edge so that I know it's straight on. Again, I'm holding in the center and then I'm going to make a nice crease up and down here. And then I will fold this back out. Now I have a second crease that should be halfway between the 5.5 inches that I just marked out. Again, I will take my straight edge and I will lift the paper at the crease. Okay, and I'm just sort of tucking it in there so that I know that this edge right here with my 90-degree angle is really nice and straight. And then I will take my pencil and I'm going to mark here. Now 5.5 cut in half should be 2.75 inches. Okay, so I just want to show that to you here that you can see that I am right at the 2.75 mark. So this is really working well. If you don't have a ruler, obviously you can't check it, but I want you to see that that is the case. Okay, so we're going to continue this pattern. So I'm now going to take this 2.75 and cut it in half. Okay, it gets a little bit harder the closer you get to the edge of the paper. So again, I'm lifting up here, and I am going to try to get this as exact as I can. I might have to kind of mess with it a little bit. Put my hand in the middle and move up. Up, I see I'm a little bit off here, so I am going to turn my paper. It might be easier for me to line up this way. And here we go. Yes. Okay, so now I fixed my edge that was a little bit off. And now, yep, it looks like I'm right in the middle there. Do you see my new fold with 2.75? And so 2.75 cut in half is going to be 1.3. Okay, so now we're getting down here. The next two are going to be a little bit challenging, but I will say this. We are going to use the next two measurements in creating our periodic table. So I'm going to take that 1.3 and I'm going to cut it in half again. So let me move that up. So at this point, because the paper is I'm getting really small, I am going to just use my eye, and I like to start from the middle and bring it up to that crease mark. And I'm going to use my fingers here at the top, get that section, and then I'm going to go down here, and I'm really going to try to line that up. And here we go. So now I've got my next piece where I have cut 1.3 in half. I think you're getting the gist here. I'm going to line my straight edge up again with the crease. And again, I do find it easier if I fold the paper a little bit so that my straight edge is kind of in the paper here. And now I've got a really important piece, which is going to be the 0.68, and that's inches. All right. Now, because I'm going to use this one a lot, I'm actually going to go and I'm going to highlight the crease here. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it just a little bit to guide my pencil. And I'm going to go up like this. Okay. So now I know exactly where 0.68 is. I could do that with each one of my measurements. I know I'm going to use the 5.5 later on, so I might do that as well with that half mark. Okay, so now I have, hey, from here to here is 5.5. From here to here is 0.68. All right, we're going to do this one more time. It's getting trickier. It's getting harder. I feel like I'm doing origami. All right, which I actually kind of enjoy doing origami. I found some good YouTube sites to watch. My daughter and I have been doing folded origami bookmarks, corner bookmarks on Red Ted Art, which has been really fun. Okay, so I've got my last one here, and this is a toughie, okay? And I'm just going to keep adjusting it until I know I'm right there on that crease. In fact, I can verify that I am because when I fold it, that edge of that paper is right in the crease. And now I've got my last piece here, and again, I will use my straight edge, and I am going to fold this up a little bit. Try to get my, this is tricky. This is where I'm glad I'm not an art teacher because I think they have a hard job, especially with this online teaching. Okay, so now I've got my straight edge here, and from here to here, I've got 0.34 inches, which is one that we are going to actually use. And then I'm going to use my pencil again in the crease, fold that over a little bit here, and I'm gonna, yep, that's tricky, folks. I'm gonna use that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use my straight edge here. I'm gonna line it up at the top where that crease is, and I'm gonna fold the crease over this way, and then I'm gonna use that to make my straight line. Okay, I want to make sure, I didn't have that quite in there, so let me fix that. Okay, I'm going to go right in here. There we go. Now I've got my straight line. And I know from here to here is 0.34. Two of those would be 0.68. All right, so we've got all of our folding where we're cutting the 11 in half. We need to do the same thing now with the 8.5. So what I'm going to do now is make this paper so it is portrait. And I'm going to go ahead and cut 8.5 and line those up. Make sure each of the corners is really lined up. And I'm going to go from the middle. I already have a crease there from my previous folding, so it is a little bit easier right there at the center spot. And I'll open that up. So I had 8.5 across, and now I will use my straight edge. So 8.5 cut in half should give me 4.25. So this is 4.25 inches. I'm going to cut that in half. I think you're getting the point. And we're going to fold that over to make sure it's nice and lined up. And I'm going to go from the center again. I can check that I've got it lined up well. It should fold very easily if it is perfectly lined up, which mine did. So now we've got 4.25. I'm going to cut that in half. Use my straight edge. I can do this. I'm going to flip that over, I think. All right, so here's my straight edge. I'm going to lift the paper, push that in there to make sure that it's perfectly lined up. 4.25 divided in half is 2.125 inches. Okay, here comes a critical one. So the next one we're going to fold in. I'm going to turn my paper again. I think it's a little bit easier when I'm doing it this way. For these smaller pieces, I'm going to line that corner up as best I can. Okay, and I'm going to go down to this other end and line that corner up right on that crease. I'm trying to cut 2.125 in half. I'm going to test it to see if it is lined up. If it is, it should fold very easily on that crease, which mine is. So now we've got 2.125, and that is cut in half. And with my straight edge, here we go. I can even, let's see, I could flip this over this way. And that might be easier. I'm going to fold that over and tuck it in. So I'm tucking that in so it's flat against the crease. And now I have from here to here 1.06 inches. And I'm going to use this one quite a bit. So I am going to use this crease, I think. Let me fold this over so you guys can see a little bit better. I'm going to use that crease for my pencil. It should be right in there. All right, so that's 1 inch. So 1.06. I'm going to call this practically 1 inch. Okay, and I think that that's quite helpful. All right, we've got one more fold, because if we have practically 1 inch, we can get practically a half an inch here. So again, I've turned my paper on its side, and I'm going to fold that practically 1 inch in half. I'm trying to get this nice and even so there's no overlap here. Move my paper down and do the same on the other end. And again, it is a little bit harder the smaller the paper gets, or the smaller the fold is. All right, so there we go. I have cut that 1.06 in half. And I will use my straight edge to draw my little line here. I'm going to fold the paper over this so that I know that my straight edge is straight. And I will go like this. And 1.06 cut in half is 0.53 inches. And it's around a half inch. It's very close. Okay, and again, I think I'm going to fold that over and use the crease to bring my pencil up as best I can. And I can tell that my pencil is, in my mark is right on the crease there. Now I have 0.53. Okay, so now I have a series of measures. And I can add certain measures together to get new measures. And I can use some of the ones that are here, and I might even have to use a slight estimation, but I can do some measuring with my own ruler. And I want to show you, we are going to be building a periodic table in this activity. And so I used my own ruler. This is the one that I had created earlier. And I was able to create a periodic table. This is not the completed assignment, but this is the skeleton. And you can see that it looks very evenly spaced. And so I will do a video next showing you how to create this. And we will do it using our own ruler. Okay, now, if you have a regular ruler, like one of these, or one of these, or one of these, go ahead and use that. But if you don't, we've got a great solution. All right, thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in our next video.